Hello everyone! Welcome to my condensed beginner playthrough. This is really just going to be a boss rush video, so here we go! To start off with, I chose the sword and got rid of the shield, which in hindsight wasn't the smartest plan. I was fine early on, but not being able to change equipment would ramp the difficulty sooner than I expected. I also did the Dawn path, choosing all the first answers to level up quicker. Also, beginner is ridiculous to start off with. Not only do you begin with a ribbon and EXP necklace for equipment, you also get 8 power-ups, 8 defense ups, and 4 AP ups. I purposely lost to Dark Side 1, but because I was on beginner, it took quite a while. On the island, I did the normal chores, taking the proper time to beat Riku in a race. I also used all of my stat boosts before fighting Dark Side, and you can see how quickly I took him down with the increased strength. Also, nice 3 levels gained. In Traverse Town, I beat up Leon purely because I could, and also because you do get an elixir if you win. I then took on the guard armor without any issues and opened up a few chests around town. Any equipment I can get in the playthrough is either going to be ignored or sold for money for items, since I can't equip anything, or it'll go to buying gummy parts to make my ship faster. In Wonderland, I gathered only one piece of evidence for time's sake. The worst that can happen is you open a box that has either one or both of your party members and then you're down them for the card tower fight. Not a big deal if that happens on beginner since my stats are so good right now. Also, I hit level 9 and got Scan, which is very nice. Trickmaster was much better this go around, probably because I had like 15 strength at this point. Either way, he went down very easy, and for some reason, Sora was much better about grabbing the table and jumping on it this go around than in my last playthrough. Next was Deep Jungle, and I couldn't wait to beat up on Clayton. I took down Sabor in about 4 hits, and then slid down with Tarzan to the camp. I didn't dare attempt cooking, even though this time I knew to open the stove door before shooting fire haphazardly. I hunted down the Heartless terrorizing the gorillas, beat up a fruit, and then took on Lizard Boy. Honestly, the biggest annoyance was the lizard playing defense on Clayton, but he too shall fall. I got the Jungle Key, which I couldn't equip, and then made my way back to Traverse Town. I ran Cid's errands and then took on the armor, only for him to be a robot in disguise and transform. I took out opposite armor without any trouble. It really does amaze me how even on beginner difficulty, your party members are still pretty much useless. At least we have Cure when needed. Agrabah was the next stop. Because I chose the sword, the Simba Strat wasn't as effective to rescue Aladdin, but it still cleared out a few waves. I finished the rest off and officially saved the day. I chased down the Pot Spider and did pretty well to run alongside of him attacking. Again, not too much trouble yet on beginner as far as the bosses go. Next challenge, however, was the Tiger Head. No matter what difficulty, this battle is so irritating. I will talk about the camera being the true boss every single time. It's so frustrating. Really, half of this battle was trying to get, and then stay, on the nose to give him free LASIK surgery. The eye hitboxes are questionable, but I did finally take him out. Then it was time to play tag with Jafar, and let me tell you, he is quite the runner. I was pretty impatient, shocker, and didn't like to wait for him to finally decide he wanted to come say hi. For Genie Jafar, I started by completely whiffing my first attack. Iago was not impressed. I got a bit lucky in keeping him against an invisible wall to do some continual hits on him, but then he used that against me. Smart bird. This time I had Jafar, Lava, Rising Platforms, Iago, and camera angles against me, but I did teach everyone a lesson eventually. In Monstro, I ran through the chambers to take on the Parasite Cage, having no patience for a strategy other than to jump and attack. The next fight was pretty much the same thing. I tried to stay in his face to do as much damage as possible, which helped to deflect his more damaging attacks. Donald and Goofy did manage to stay alive, but I don't think they hit him a single time. So basically a typical day. At the lovely town of Halloween, I beat up the kids for their heart, which really, out of context, sounds just plain awful. Don't worry, I did miss several hits, so they weren't really that scared. Then on to the jerk Oogie Boogie. Here's another instance of experiencing trouble only having the basic Keyblade. I also got stuck not being able to make it up to do damage the first chance I got, so that was annoying. Donald and Goofy were nice enough to get knocked out early so they wouldn't be in the way. Just the best friends a girl could ask for. Honestly, this fight took way too long. I did learn not to trap him up at the highest part because he just laughs as you can't reach him, but I still only got a few hits in each turn. I really think this particular battle is more of a test of patience than skill, but thankfully I have neither. Anyway, I did finally take him out. Then it was on to Oogie House, which I think is what I'm going to start calling my house. Nothing special here, just running around hitting the grape jello blob things, and trying not to get knocked down or jumped down on accident. Also, finding the blobs. That's the hard part for me every time I do this fight. And then we were in Neverland fighting myself. Other than a few misses where I was just out of reach and pretty much just fanned him with the Keyblade, he didn't cause me too much trouble. You can use your scan ability to suss the real one, whichever has a health bar is the actual one, but really I feel like you have to get him first try to hit him before he melts into the ground. A few strong hits and words of affirmation, and he went back to writing about me in his journal. On Hook, I tried to ignore the ships and focus on him. I got him cornered for a bit, which helped, but he broke out of it after a while. He gets annoying when he keeps doing his roundhouse combo with his sword where you really can't do anything but block. This is another time where just having the base Keyblade and equipment made a noticeable difference as far as damage output. I had to heal more and strike a lot more to teach him a lesson, but he did eventually meet up with the crocodile. Our next step was Hollow Bastion. I teamed up with Beast to make it inside, only to immediately abandon him for my friends. Oh yeah, I also fought Riku. He did not like becoming familiar with Ars Arcanum, but I had a great time introducing them. He went down pretty easily for all his posturing. But then the real challenge came, Maleficent. Okay, actually making it to her was the first challenge, then fighting her was next. Stage 1 is fine, beat up her floating platform with gravity, and then gave her a different physics lesson about applying force to a stationary object. Thankfully, she was totally cool about me hitching a ride with her to go to the party, till she realized she had to pay for the Uber. Anyway, gravity, smack, watch party members fall, repeat. For House of Dragons, I summoned Tinkerbell as a safety and cast Arrow for added defense. This was definitely a time where no added defense and strength in my equipment slowed the fight down a good bit. How do people do this on Proud Mode? Anyway, I really tried to just stay close to her to do repeated combos on her head and hope my teammates would live long enough to heal me, or at least to draw her fire so I could heal or use items. I did give them a few items to help out with healing, which I'm pretty sure they only used on each other. I really can't be mad. I mean, I only heal me, so... A few more hits, and she was banished to the Shadow Realm. Next was Ansem Riku. I was at level 41, so around average level. I started with Arrow and tried to focus on deflecting his combos whenever I could. Really, for about a minute, it seemed it was just both of us missing each other. How poetic. I tried to withhold doing full combos to get him in a loop, but that just made him go into diva mode and shoot lasers at me, which I was not cool with. Just a little FYI I might not have mentioned, but I don't actually have Leaf Bracer yet. On the sword path, you don't learn that till level 69. I did take full advantage of healing anytime he left me alone long enough to do so. The benefit of him doing his DM, or desperation move, was he'd monologue about it for 5 seconds before actually doing anything useful. Unfortunately, he DM'd 4 more times before I could finally take him out, which was really a bit selfish of him. It will be brought up at the next town hall meeting. After reuniting with Kairi, I journeyed to the end of the world for my pal Behemoth. Since my magic wasn't as good and Donald died, I had to rely on a more physical approach than just spamming gravity. Other than that, I climbed on his back, hit him, cast gravity when I had some magic built up, and then fought the camera so I could climb up on the Hydra's back. Wait, wrong game. Behemoth 2 was a completely different and groundbreaking approach. Yeah, total lie. I smack with Keyblade and gravity, he shocked me, we both say ouch. Now, let's talk about the worst fight ever. Seriously. Chernabog, which man, what a jerk. I think I died to him at least 8 times. Sometimes I got closer than others, other times I did maybe a bar of health. Part of it was me being impatient, as usual, but really this low damage output and his heavy hitting flame wall were super effective. Be glad I cut the fight because the whole thing was 10 minutes for me. Third Behemoth was fine, but the waves of Heartless after him were awful. I of course did get through, but not without a lot of healing and gamer noises. I summoned Simba to help with crowd control, but honestly I think all I did was score him a few days with the Heartless. I fought the hordes of demon swords and dunce cap flying things until I opened the doorway fully. Back home, I beat up on Ansem. It's always funny when he summons the Guardian forward, but then you just score hits from behind. He's still annoying when he does the submit move and you can get grabbed in place, but Goofy volunteered as tribute for the first go around. Thanks, pal! The rest of the fight was basically prepping for my one-on-one with Ansem and trying to get him to stay in the same zip code as me. After beating him, I stocked up all three of us with items for the end battles, and then went to take on Darkseid. This was really just a way to get my magic meter fully charged. I climbed up him a few times trying to hit his hand, which was a bit weird, but I'll take it. Ansem 2 required a bit more finesse. I tried to combo him anytime he tried to get me to open my heart, which, seriously dude, get better lines. I shouldn't really be judging, because I think he caught me every time he did his submit move. Again. I played Ring Around the Arena, trying to do some hits on him, blocking him when I could, and healing as needed. He did his super move a few times, but like before, if you just roll consistently, it's pretty harmless. I ignored his last grab attempt and smacked him for his audacity. Ansem 86 was really just me showing him I knew how to heal. Felt like every hit I got on him I had to heal. Those lasers suck. Unfortunately, without Leaf Bracer, I got killed. And since I'm on the No Continue challenge, I had to redo Ansem 1, 2, and Darkseid. Yay, editing powers! Back to Ansem. I really didn't do anything on round 2. I backed off a little more after hitting him so I could heal, but I still got sniped a few times. Also, there are these little bat creatures hanging around. I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time trying to farm them to recover my magic, but it was a waste. Thankfully on Ansem, you can get lucky a few times and parry his attack. I rinsed and repeated that method until I got to the next phase. I fought the fingernail tentacle things, rescued Goofy, beat up a demon face dude, rescued Donald, yelled at Goofy for wasting his items on Donald when we still had Ansem to face. Oh, speaking of a face, I beat up one of those too. Final, for real final Ansem was an all-out assault. Either my team couldn't use their items quick enough before dying, or they had already used them on each other to be effective. But basically, I flew into the abyss alone to come up with a game plan. I also flirted dangerously with the lasers. Not sure why it took so long to use the item, but even post-playthrough me was nervous. I continued my balanced diet of 3-course laser meals, but finally brought Ansem down. I got the Speedster trophy for beating the game in under 15 hours, but to see the others I had to sit through the credits. Again, and I was nervous the entire time. Even though I knew I hadn't changed equipment, there was always a moment of doubt each time I equipped an ability or changed my item inventory. But finally, I got undefeated and unchanging armor. Only 2 trophies left, Proud Mode and Plat. So I will see you all next video. Thanks for watching and hopefully you enjoyed this format.